So, as you will have picked up by now, unless you're here for the first time, it's Life Course dinner time again. And as it says in the Bible, two is better than one. And so we're putting on two Life Course dinners this coming Thursday and Friday. We popped up dinner-wise twice in response to several prophetic words we had at this time last year. Because of prayer and courageous inviting, we hope to entertain a significant number of people again this year at two dinners, which should result in a healthy Life Course start the week after. Please forgive me if you know all about the Life Course. I'm aware that many do and that some people came to faith through it. But for the sake of those who've joined us more recently, I have to take a couple of moments just to describe what the course is. Otherwise, people won't have confidence to come themselves or invite other people. So the Life Course is simply for people who have questions about life and its meaning, and it's also for Christians who are new to St. Mary's. Experience says that both groups benefit from doing the course, but obviously for different reasons. The course runs for 7 weeks, beginning October the 1st. It happens downstairs. Each evening there is food. The team brings wine. There's a stimulating presentation, hopefully, and an opportunity for small group discussion. The first 3 weeks are very broad in content and are easy to engage with no matter where people are coming from in times of discussion. So we begin with what I would take to be a secular view of what is the good life. We look at the importance of love, the quest for meaning, the quest for purpose and identity. And we move on from there to consider some of the runners and riders who've sought to define reality, whether science is going to actually ultimately be able to do that entirely, what atheism has to contribute to the discussion of our meaning, agnosticism, religions, etc. Over time, we do present some Christian claims, but we always ensure that people have space to say whatever they believe and think and to ask any question they want to ask. People enjoy the course because they make new friends and they go on a common journey of discovery together. So obviously the Life Course dinners happening the week before serve as taster events for the course itself. So this place is going to look and feel like a contemporary restaurant venue. I just think we've got a couple of pictures now to show you. Oh no, hang on a second, that's actually the main thing. You want me to commentate through this again? Okay, so here's a very cool guy getting up to speak. Oh, that's me. Oh, yeah. Nice jacket. And there's people. Look at them. People and alcohol sitting at tables. Tables, lots of tables, and there's strange light things strung across the whole church building. There's me again. This is the best bit. I love the music soundtrack we've chosen for this. It's timeless. Okay, that's it. There are 2 other pictures we had. They were spoofs. I'm going to describe them in a moment. I'm doing it now. One was oh, there we go. So a bit of a cold church. It's going to look a bit like that. Or if it's not looking like that, it'll look like this. There you go. Lots and lots of people coming. Anyway, now, it's not unusual for people who turn up to say, well, if I'd known it was going to be like that, I would have brought more people. The thing is, it will be like that. It will be. The dinner actually surprises people who come. And quite a high number of people that come to the dinner actually go on to do the course. The bottom line is, I can confidently guarantee to you that if you bring your friends, they will not be embarrassed. And that's very important. That is very important. I have been to many embarrassing Christian events. And scarred as I am by those experiences, I have sought to create something that I know your rabid unbeliever will at least feel okay coming to without wanting to projectile vomit. When I say bad experiences, I think of things like this, like the time I was speaking at a youth event somewhere. For reasons I do not understand, there were a lot of youth, a lot. And basically, we began with the leader of the thing doing his own explanation of sin. Of course. So that went on for quite some time. Then we had worship, which, again, worship led by a selection of instruments that could never be combined in any musical form, even if they were played by world-class musicians, which they really weren't. It was like a practice session for people that have never touched one of those things. That went on for way too long. Then the guy comes back up again for his next explanation of sin. And then when he's finished, he gives people an opportunity to write their sins on a piece of paper. Just write them on a piece of paper like it's the most normal thing in the world. And when you've done that, you might like to come to the front to this quite flimsy cross and attach your piece of paper to the cross because it's going to stick to the cross, except the cross was so flimsy, a breath of air would have knocked it over. And when people tried to stick their bits of paper to the cross, they fell to the floor. Then there was me. And I received on that occasion what I think of as the anointing of desperation, because God had nothing else to put his power upon. It won't be like that. Now, the dinners only work because we do all that we can to invite our friends, family, colleagues. And because we're putting 2 of these on, I'm appealing to every member of the church to give serious consideration to the question, who should I invite? And if you already have, and obviously quite a few of us have, please give that information to Sadie, who's sitting at the table at the back on my right as you leave. So, just look at yourself and think, am I comparatively new to this church? If you are, and you would like to come to dinner with us, you are really welcome to come. Even if you come on your own, we will look after you. We will introduce you to other people who will be comparatively normal. And you are just welcome to say that you're coming. If you like, you can also bring people with you. Doesn't matter. You can bring as many people with you as you want. Sometimes it's good, to have a friend, just in case it's really terrible and somebody needs to cover you or throw their body to the ground while you get out of the building. And then 3, otherwise, if you already belong here, who does God want you to pray for and who does he want you to invite? There'll be an opportunity to respond to that a bit later. So as always, there are a number of sort of stars of the show behind the scenes building up to this, including Kirstine, who's been putting herself about a bit, corralling life monsters. A life monster is somebody who absolutely loves inviting their friends. There are some people who would rather extract a tooth, but there are some people who absolutely love this kind of thing and they will invite 15 people, they don't care, they wave their faith around just in the air, whatever. But there are other people who find this more difficult. We have different gifts, right? So life monsters, we try to corral them, we put them together in a meeting. We did it last Sunday after church, and they sort of dribble together and inspire one another and invite even more people. So Kirstine has been whipping those into shape together with the staff team, the local area, our school, and our movie night. And Andy has been inviting those who attend the homeless meal and social supermarkets, and at least 100 people will come from that alone. Jody spoke brilliantly last week if you were here. If you weren't here, you should listen to the talk. And the response so far, I have to say, has been fantastic again. People are currently planning to invite more than 560 people. That is incredible. Thank you to everybody who's participated, whether you're bringing one person or whether you're hoping to bring 20. Your job is just inviting. You can't make people come. I do find that a bit sad. You can't actually force people to come. So what you can do is invite them, and they do with it what they will, right? But we can at least invite. And I know there are all kinds of awkwardnesses about this process. I'll touch on that in a few moments. So despite this amazing openness to inviting our friends, I'm appealing to everybody again to be prepared to go out into the deep and to cast our nets again for the following reason. Firstly, because I received a prophetic word about Jesus' instruction to the disciples who'd been out all night fishing. So Jesus, a rabbi, tells disciples who are fishermen to go out and have another go at fishing. After they fished all night and caught literally nothing, he says, just to give it another go, you go out into the deep water, which presumably you have to go out some way to get to the deep water just to start with, and they're already knackered. Just throw your nets on the other side. I'm sure it'll be fine. So the rabbi gives advice to the fishermen. The fishermen, through gritted teeth, go and do it again. Because you say so, Lord, says Peter. Off they go. And they have this massive haul of fish as a result. And what I take from this is that God is always wanting there to be a huge response, always, because it's his fundamental desire that everybody comes to know him personally. But also that this has to be done at the direction of God. It's God who leads us. It's God who shows us people. It's God who gives us the words. And we are simply the means by which people receive the invitation. So in a way, the pressure is completely off us. People's response is the response they're making to the invitation of God, and that's between them and God. And often people take quite a while. They take a while to be even open to hearing about it. They take a while to even come to something. It's quite a process for most normal people who don't have any church experience. So I'm asking us to think again before writing anybody off. Secondly, though, you may know that the YouGov's biannual tracker has been picking up unusual trends about belief in God amongst young Britons since 2021. So the proportion of 18 to 24-year-olds claiming such belief was 16% in August 2021, but has reached an unusual 45% in January this year. The next youngest age group, 25 to 49-year-olds, showed a much more modest but still notable increase over the same period, from 21% to 33%. Then there's what's happening in America. Now, American trends are important because if America gets a cold, we usually catch it. Religious adherence has been sliding slowly amongst younger people quite rapidly for the last 20 years. But recent research has revealed the number of US adults who say they've made a personal commitment to Jesus has risen from 54% in 2021 to 66% today. In February this year, the Bible Society reported that young people, and especially young men, are showing an unprecedented interest in Christianity. The percentage of young men who say they attend church monthly has risen from 4 to 21%. Now, we should note the invariable laws of sociology of religion, which say that older people are more religious than younger, and that women are more religious than men. So this is actually quite a shift. What this means, people, to quote something that Jesus says in the New Testament, is look at the fields, they are white and ready for harvest. Now, this does not mean we are harvesting white people. What it means is, when wheat is ready to be harvested, it goeth white, and then we harvesteth it, right? So Jesus says, look at the white harvest, the white fields, they're ready to be harvested. I have to say this because I was accused of racism this morning. So, people have actually identified a number of reasons why these changes might be occurring, and I thought it would be useful for me just to run through a few ideas to give us confidence. First of all, there is geopolitics. The world today is in poor shape. Instability, inequality, anxiety, and violence are stalking many lands. In the 20 years after the end of the Cold War in the West, many thought that our prospects for peace and prosperity were rosy. Boom and bust had ended, democracy was spreading, human rights were being observed, human beings were running the show, and running it pretty well, thank you. At times like this, it's easy to believe, to paraphrase Barack Obama, that there's nothing wrong with the human condition that we can't fix ourselves. In such circumstances, who needs a different story? Who needs God? It's when our efforts at building heaven on earth crumble that we are likely to search for other possibilities. And they are sure crumbling furiously right now. In short, the wider context has left us more open to new perspectives and narratives about the way things are, and some of these might include God. Second thing, social disenfranchisement, and this is a painful thing for me to say to you. This has hit younger people particularly hard. Gen Z cannot expect a higher standard of living than their parents, as their own parents once did. Indeed, they might be wise to expect a lower one. Saddled with debt by their early 20s, uncertain about long-term work prospects, condemned to wages that are unlikely to enable them to afford a house anytime soon, with all the knock-on effects this has for marriage, family, and stability, there's a palpable sense among this generation of being economically and socially disenfranchised. And once again, if this earthly kingdom seems not to have a place for you, you might be more open to others that do. Thirdly, that old chestnut, masculinity. I'm reticent to draw attention to any supposed plight amongst young white men, but it's been argued that these trends have hit young men especially hard. Throw in a lot of new thinking about sexual identity, and either vociferous opposition to predatory male sexual behavior on the one hand, or, at the complete opposite end, open advocacy of a caveman-like understanding of male identity at the other, and maybe young men don't know whether they're coming or going. The demise of heavy industry and many manual jobs may have contributed to this uncertainty, together with a widespread absence of fathers. Young men may feel they're facing an existential problem that their own fathers did not face. It's this phenomenon that's allowed Andrew Tate and fellow misogynists to exploit. And this is actually, and I must say this, sadly infecting the evangelical church. You want to be careful what you listen to online, especially coming from the States, with a restatement of patriarchal views towards women and other, homophobic and other views as well, which is just as objectionable. But this is a phenomenon that most positively might be driving young men to explore religion as an alternative, affirming narrative of who they are, what their role, responsibilities, and contribution to a greater good might be. Another factor, immigration. Just before I talk about immigration, just as an aside, and I am going to have to reevaluate my life because of last Saturday. Basically, last Saturday, it was the first time that we could watch 3 consecutive Premier League matches in a row. And that's what I did last Saturday. And the news that I listened to around that time was sports news on TalkSport. I didn't even know that rally was happening last Saturday. I only found out later. So this is obviously saying something about how I need to get out more or actually turn on the radio or something, or television and watch something else. So I want to join with every right-thinking person in condemning the openly racist elements of what happened at that rally. And I'm aware that some of us decided the only safe thing to do would be to lock our doors and stay inside. And obviously if you're white, it's not a dilemma for you, but it is a dilemma for people of color. And I'm sorry that we missed that as a church last week. But some people didn't. And they probably should have said, hey, we need to acknowledge this or pray about it. But we're doing it now. Immigrants are almost always more religious than British-born people. Accordingly, the sheer number of immigrants to Britain over the last 10 years will have added raw numbers to team religion. It's likely that the mere presence of believing immigrants in UK society has pushed the visibility and prominence of religion up the agenda for many people. The presence of a confident, coherent religious creed and culture in Islam has perhaps catalyzed a degree of soul-searching amongst your typical British people, provoking questions like, okay, well, exactly what do I believe and why? Back in the day, when you filled in a form and were asked to specify your religion, most British people would say C of E, whether they went to church or not. Those days are gone. Existential questions are now harder to avoid, and the more we ask them, the more we find ourselves arriving at answers we might not have expected. Then there's the online world. Young adults are now able to dip their toe in religious waters from the comfort of their own phone before ever coming to a place like this. Back in the day, when somebody of my generation was asking questions about faith, what they tried to do was slip into a service after it had started, find a seat somewhere away from everybody else, and pray that no one would talk to them. Now, an explorer can do all that before turning up and looking for the next stage of acceptance and community. Also, influenced by the impact of smartphone access, social media, Gen Z has been christened the anxious generation, as you know, suffering exceptionally high levels of reported mental ill health. So, I reckon as well, decline in home situations has led to a degree of toxicity there, and a poisonous online environment increasingly since it became X, which effectively means, for instance, you're just listening to extreme versions of whatever side of a debate you're on, has left many young people looking for relationships that are genuine, not mediated by a screen, not weaponized for marketing purposes or exploited by Silicon Valley. One of those places to fight this might be church. Enter public figures and social media influencers. And these come in different flavors, from Bukayo Saka. Exactly. From the lovely Bukayo Saka and Chris Pratt, through Stormzy, Jordan Peterson, all the way to Russell Brand, and a whole host of Instagram stars of which I am going to be blissfully ignorant. Whatever else these figures may be, and in Brand's case it's for the courts to decide, each is a phenomenon. They have enormous followings and talk frequently and positively, albeit in very different ways, about Christianity and the Bible. They reach parts, younger and more male parts, so to speak, that youth evangelists can only dream of. Like them or not, they may well be a factor in this new trend. The pandemic. It's hardly an accident that this is all happening in the wake of the first pandemic in a century. COVID hit different people in different ways, of course, and it's hard to generalize, but some of the better known consequences, an enforced time in which lives as usual were suspended, in which a period of reflection and reevaluation was imposed on people, whether they wanted it or not, in which normal routines and relationships were totally disrupted. All of these are liable to have had some kind of effect on people's attitude to meaning and the quest for their own purpose in life. And this is my favorite: rebellion. Back in the day, 20 years ago, it was the height of sophistication to tell believers they'd been brainwashed, were virus carriers, believed in sky pixies, and lived by a code of Bronze Age ethics and were generally a mortal threat to civilization. Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end, but they did. And just as every reaction has an equal and opposite counter-reaction, so do social rebellions. What could be edgier now, do you think, than telling your vaguely atheist parents that you've decided to be baptized? The message of the famous atheist bus campaign of 2009, "There is no God, now stop worrying and enjoy your life," was quite frankly somewhat toe-curling at the time, and it sure hasn't matured with age. Concerned about Putin, Ukraine, Gaza, Israel, Sudan, Trump, climate change, trade wars, inflation, the far right, cybercrime, terrorism, the slow erosion of democracy, conflict between nuclear arms, India and Pakistan, Thomas Frank at Tottenham? Well, don't. Just stop worrying and enjoy your life. The age in which all you needed to do was see Ricky Gervais drape a microphone stand across his shoulders as if it were the beam of a cross with the word atheist scrawled across his chest, or get Stephen Fry perhaps to narrate a cartoon about how fundamentally decent human beings are deep, deep down. That seems like ancient history. And that kind of celebrity humanism feels painfully empty and incapable of grappling with the world in which we actually live. Now, talking about my generation, no such trends are affecting Generation X, so we're pretty much beyond hope now. Joking aside, there may be something in the fact that the younger we go, the more likely we are to find generations who've grown up without any religious baggage in this country. We Gen Xers thought we knew what religion was: oppressive sexual moralizing, boring church services, meaningless dogma. And so we thought we knew what it was we were rejecting. People born after 2000 don't know that. They haven't been inoculated against it. Of all the things Gen X can be accused of bestowing upon our children, debt, a weakened welfare state, global insecurity, climate chaos, at least religious baggage isn't one of them. Yes! So I'm going to characterize this as a massive window of opportunity. And I urge us to do all we can to take it. Now, some Christians have genuine concerns about taking their friends to events like this based on previous experience of events like this. You're not stupid, right? Once bitten, twice shy. Yeah, you've trusted people before, and then something terrible happened. But our events are not like church events you have known, and as you will probably have picked up, I am not like Christian speakers you have heard. There are many things I'm not very good at in my job. Many things. But as an evangelist, I do know how to appeal to people who don't go to church without making assumptions about them and without, and this is crucial, actually offending them. So you can trust me, I'm a doctor. Christians also have genuine concerns about talking about their faith, like not feeling confident to answer all the questions or not wanting to jeopardize an important friendship. Totally understand that. But the main reason that Christians don't gladly throw themselves into something like this year after year, because we've been doing this every year for ages, is because it catches them cold. I mean, what have you been doing over the last few months? You've been chilling, you've been relaxing, you've been parking, you've been holidaying, you've been by the seeing if you can, you've been not being here. I've noticed you've not been here. Now you're coming back here, aren't you? Like the cold. What's it like now? It's getting colder, isn't it? There are strikes. It's raining. And we don't feel like it because of all those things, right? And we're getting back into the swing. I understand. This catches us cold. It does. So some of you will have been hearing about this on and off for a while. But some of you will literally have really turned up for the first time. So you've thought to yourself, do you know what? I'm going to have to go back to church. The fun's over. I've got to go back, right? And so it's catching you cold. The great thing about this and every other aspect of ministry, every other aspect of serving Jesus, is it's not about us. God isn't terribly interested in your ministry. I know it's a bit embarrassing. He likes his ministry, and he likes you to partner with him in what he's already doing. So the object of the game is, if you're thinking, oh no, I'm too unspiritual, I'm too cold, I'm too disconnected, if you're feeling like that, I understand. I feel like that every September. My problem is I've got to do this every September, so I have no choice. I have to get myself there in one way or another. Sometimes it's easier than other times, but it always happens to me. It's my job. So sucks to be you. Anyway, the thing is, so start from where you are now. You have got a good 3 days of inviting that you can engage in. And the great thing about having two is when they say, oh, I can't go on Thursday, you say, there's one on Friday. You can advertise it as all kinds of things. My church does like a community dinner every autumn, and I thought you might like it. You know, there's going to be a lot of alcohol and Lebanese food. It's going to be very nice. There's a guy that talks for about 10 minutes, but you don't have to listen to that particularly. And there's baklava. You can say that. You can go, you know, as other people said, this is the most important thing in my life. How can you not care about the most important thing in my life? You come and hear about the most important thing in my life. You can say anything. Embarrassment is an issue for people, obviously, and social death is an issue. But really, the worst thing they can say is no. And if they say no, that is up to them. Of course, we can't make people come. We can just invite them, but we can invite them. So, again, look at the fields. They are especially ready for harvest. I translated it then. Right. So, we're not doing reaction against church because we've never been to one. We aren't doing hardcore atheism like we were 15 years ago. We're doing openness to spiritual things, aren't we? People are very spiritual now. And we're wrestling with a lot of uncertainties in our lives. So the fields are especially white and ready for harvest. So many people have come to these dinners over the years, so many. Often with absolutely zilch church experience. And that's simply because we took the process of inviting seriously. Last year was incredible if you were here. And let's make it our aim to be part of an equally incredible story this autumn. Let's see if we can surf the trends of 2025 and prove that what the living God can do when we rely on him. So you may just have started coming here, in which case, please be our guest and just invite yourself. Of course, it would be great if you'd also like to think about who else could come with you for moral support, but you don't have to. Some of us would have been thinking about who to invite for a while, and we would have been inviting wildly and freely. And others of us, as I know, will just have started thinking about it now. And I hope that whatever response we've made so far, some of us will consider heading back out into the deep and inviting more as a result of today. It's fine to increase the number that you've already given, if that's what you think you should do. It's also fine to stick with the number you've got, and it's also fine just to invite one friend. However, it's critically important for our planning that we know your best stab at how many are coming at this point. You might think, but I don't know if they're coming Thursday or Friday. It doesn't matter. Just if you we don't care about what you don't know, but it's good to tell Sally what you do know, and then she will carefully monitor it as we get nearer to the time. So don't worry about it, but just be in touch. So for example, if you invite 50 people, right, and you've said 50, and like one person's coming, you probably need to let us know it's minus 49 for Thursday. But, you know, if you invite 8 and 6 come, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So just make sure you're in touch with us in the coming week if there are big discrepancies. But otherwise, you know, if you were planning to invite 1 people and now you've invited 700, we probably need to know that too. So, equally, there may be people here that really would like to do the course, and you know you're going to do the course. Some people know that they know they're going to do the live course, but then they don't do anything about it, like, for example, tell us. So basically, we've got 2 tables to choose from, and some of you will want to multiplay with both of them. There's a table where you can give your life dinner information, là-bas, at the back, or on this side, nous avons the life dinner, the life course table, right? So it's Kirstine or Sally. If you want to mix and match, you can flow between the 2 of them. But if you think you're doing the life course, and you know you are, go and sign up there. If you've got dinner numbers, go over there, right? Is that clear? I think it is. Now we're going to pray and ask God to show us what our response is. And then we will convey that to Sally, and we will pray for people, as usual. So, could we just pray? Surin? Lord, I want to thank you for the responsiveness that we have as a church, that we always show. I thank you for the faith, for the confidence that people have, for the outrageous inviting that goes on. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. I pray for everybody that loves this kind of thing, and I ask that you made them bold and very courageous. And I pray for people that really would prefer to have a tooth removed than engage at all. I ask that you would help them, and that we would be able to see this as something we have done together. Pray, Lord, that we would have all that we need to fill the dinners and to do the practical serving of the food. We pray that nothing would stand against us, Lord, and that you would enable us to make a full use of the remaining time. Suggest you just remain open, and if there are names that come to your mind, just make a note of those.